There is a millennial individual who slept 8 hours last night. They know this because the sleep tracking app said so. 8 hours and 14 minutes. Sleep score, 82. Restful. The phone was on the nightstand. The room was dark. The alarm went off at 7:15 a.m. And the first thing the millennial individual felt when they opened their eyes was tired, not groggy. Not the kind of tired that a shower fixes. Just tired already. Before the day had begun, they got up anyway. They always get up anyway. That is the thing nobody outside sees. The getting up. Every single morning. Regardless of how the body feels about it, the coffee was made. The commute was done. The meetings were attended. The work was completed at a standard that nobody would describe as phoning it in. From the outside, this looks like a functioning adult having a normal Tuesday. From the inside, it feels like running a marathon in a body that was not told it was running a marathon. This is not depression. This is not laziness. This is not a vitamin deficiency, although the millennial individual has checked. Twice. Blood panels normal. Thyroid normal. Iron levels fine. The doctor said everything looks good and suggested maybe cutting back on caffeine. The millennial individual nodded and drove home and made a cup of coffee because the tired is not the kind that blood work finds. Hash. What the body is actually CRY, and there's a concept in stress research called allostatic load. It refers to the cumulative biological cost of adapting to chronic stress over time. Not a single event. Not a crisis. The ongoing low-grade, never quite resolved pressure of navigating a life that has required constant adaptation for years on end. The body keeps score. That phrase has become so widely repeated it has almost lost its meaning. But the science behind it is precise and specific. The nervous system, when exposed to sustained stress, does not simply experience the stress and release it. It accumulates. It recalibrates. It begins to treat the state of alert as the default state. And over time, maintaining that alert state costs energy. A great deal of energy. Energy that is not available for other things. Things like feeling rested after 8 hours of sleep. The millennial individual did not choose this accumulation. It happened the way erosion happens. Gradually, invisibly, and entirely without drama, the 2008 financial crisis did not announce itself as a traumatic event for young adults. It looked like a job market. It looked like a gap on a resume. It looked like moving back home at 23 and calling it temporary. It looked like watching a carefully planned future become a set of conditions that no longer applied, and then quietly rebuilding without anyone asking how that felt to do. The rebuilding happened. That part is real and it counts. But the nervous system that navigated the rebuilding was not debriefed afterward. There was no moment where the millennial individual was told that was hard. You adapted to something genuinely difficult. The adaptation cost something. It is allowed to cost something. Instead, the cost was quietly added to the tab. And the tab has been running ever since. The specific weight of performing FI&E there is something the millennial individual has been doing for so long it no longer registers as a performance. It registers as a personality. They are fine. Not happy necessarily. Not thriving in any way that requires honest examination. But fine, functional, managing, getting through it. The word fine is doing an enormous amount of work in the millennial individual's vocabulary, and nobody, including themselves, has asked it to account for what it is carrying. A psychologist studying emotional suppression would recognize what is happening immediately. When a person consistently overrides internal signals, fatigue, frustration, grief, anxiety in favor of the external presentation of competence, the nervous system does not simply accept the override. It registers the discrepancy. It runs both tracks simultaneously. The track that says everything is fine and the track that knows everything is not fine. Running two tracks at once requires fuel. The fuel comes from somewhere. The millennial individual grew up in an environment that was specifically structured to reward the fine track and ignore the other one. The parents were busy. The cultural message was clear. Toughness was not encouraged. It was assumed. Asking for help was not prohibited. It was just never modeled as something people actually did. The adults around them pushed through. The adults around them were also exhausted and also not talking about it. So the millennial individual learned to push through, and they became very, very good at it. Good enough that the pushing through stopped feeling like effort and started feeling like identity. The problem with an identity built on pushing through is that it has no off switch. On a Sunday afternoon, with nowhere to be and nothing due, the millennial individual still cannot fully rest. The body is on the couch. The mind is composing a list of things that should probably be done. The rest never fully arrives because the system that would allow rest, the one that says it is safe to stop, the alert is not needed right now. That system was never properly installed, or it was installed and then quietly uninstalled. Somewhere around 2009, The exhaustion nobody VLADs here is the specific cruelty of the millennial individual's particular brand of tired. It comes with no obvious cause. If someone asks why they are tired, the honest answer is everything and nothing. The job is not a disaster. The relationships are not in crisis. The health is fine according to the blood panel. There's no single identifiable thing that is wrong. And in the absence of a single identifiable thing, the culture has a very specific response. You should be grateful. You should be fine. Other people have it worse. The millennial individual knows other people have it worse. They are aware of this constantly. The awareness is part of the problem, because it means the tiredness has nowhere to land. It cannot be named as a response to anything specific. It cannot be taken seriously because nothing specific is wrong. And so it gets quietly dismissed by other people and by the millennial individual themselves as something vague and slightly embarrassing, as something that more sleep or more exercise or better time management would probably fix. But the allostatic load does not care about time management. The accumulated weight of 2 decades of adaptation, performance, uncertainty, and suppression does not respond to a better morning routine. It responds to being named, to being seen, to someone finally saying, yes, that is real. That is a real thing that happened to a real person. The tired you are carrying is not a character flaw. It is a bill that came due. Research published in the last decade on millennial mental health patterns shows consistently that this generation reports higher rates of burnout, anxiety, and what clinicians call subclinical exhaustion, that does not meet the diagnostic threshold for any specific disorder but is nonetheless present, persistent, and significantly affecting quality of life. The numbers are not small. They are the majority. The majority of a generation is tired in a way they cannot explain and have been told is their own problem to solve. What happens to a body on permanent alert? The science of chronic stress is not complicated. It is just rarely explained in plain language. When the brain perceives a threat, any threat, from a predator to an economic collapse to a performance review, it activates the stress response. Cortisol is released. The body prepares to act. Heart rate increases. Digestion slows. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for calm reasoning, steps back. The amygdala, responsible for threat detection, steps forward. This system was designed for short-term threats. Activate, respond, resolve, return to baseline. The millennial individual's nervous system has been activated for approximately 20 years, without a clear resolution signal. Not because they are weak, because the threats were never single events with clear endpoints. The 2008 crisis did not end on a specific date. The student debt did not resolve itself. The job insecurity did not become job security. The pressure to perform, to achieve, to remain relevant, to not fall behind, none of these had an endpoint where the system could receive the return to baseline signal. So the baseline moved. The elevated state became the new normal. And the body, being extraordinarily adaptive, adjusted. The adjustment costs energy. The millennial individual who wakes up tired after 8 hours of sleep is not broken. They are experiencing the metabolic cost of 2 decades of elevated baseline. The tiredness is not a mystery. It is arithmetic. Output has exceeded input for a very long time, and the body is presenting the bill in the only language it has available. Fatigue. Not laziness. Not weakness. Not ingratitude. Fatigue. The kind that blood work does not catch because it is not located in the blood. It is located in the accumulated history of a person who adapted to everything that was asked of them, and never once was asked how they were doing. Hash. The things that look like energy but are a note to the millennial individual has developed several systems for managing the tired that they would not describe as managing the tired. They would describe them as productivity habits, the coffee. The specific coffee made in the specific way at the specific time, which is not enjoyed so much as it is administered. The substance is doing the work the sleep was supposed to do, the scrolling. Late at night, when the body is asking for rest and the mind will not cooperate, the phone provides a middle state that is neither rest nor engagement. The brain is too tired to do anything meaningful and too activated to sleep. The scroll is the solution. The scroll is also the reason the sleep quality registers as 82 instead of 91 and the tired compounds, the busy. The millennial individual fills available time with activity not because they want to, but because stillness surfaces the tired. Motion keeps it submerged. The project, the errand, the extra task that did not need to be taken on, these are not ambition. They are avoidance. The busy is a way of not sitting with what is underneath. The busy. What is underneath is not a crisis. It is not a dramatic revelation. It is just a person who has been running for a long time and has not yet found a place where it feels safe to stop. Why resting does not help. The millennial individual has tried resting. They took the vacation. They slept in on Saturday. They did the thing where you lie on the floor and stare at the ceiling and try to let the mind go quiet. The mind did not go quiet. This is the part that confuses them most. Rest is supposed to resolve tired. That is the contract. Sleep, recover, return to full capacity. The contract is not being honored, and the millennial individual does not know why. The reason is that the tired is not primarily physical. Physical tired responds to physical rest. The tired the millennial individual is carrying is a nervous system tired. A regulation tired. The kind that comes from years of the internal system working overtime to maintain the presentation of fine while the underneath did something else entirely. That kind of tired does not resolve with a nap. It resolves with safety. With the genuine experience of not needing to perform, not needing to be fine, not needing to manage anything for a sustained period of time. The millennial individual has not had that experience in a very long time. Possibly not since before they understood what it meant to have things expected of them, which, for many of them, was quite young. The beginning of something DFF. Years. When nobody tells the millennial individual who is always tired but can never explain why. The explanation exists. It is not mysterious. It is not a character flaw dressed up as a medical condition. It is the entirely predictable result of a specific set of conditions operating on a specific nervous system over a specific period of time. Naming it does not fix it immediately. The allostatic load does not dissolve because someone finally found the right word for it. But something shifts when the pattern is recognized. When the tired is granted the dignity of being real rather than being dismissed as something that a better attitude or a better sleep schedule would resolve. The millennial individual does not need to earn the right to be tired. They already have more than enough evidence. What they need, and what most of them were never given permission to take, is the experience of being seen in the tired. Not fixed. Not advised. Not told that other people have it worse. Just seen. There is a version of this that begins very quietly. Not with a grand gesture toward wellness. Not with a retreat or a rebrand or a morning routine overhaul. Just with the private acknowledgement, honest, unglamorous, and entirely sufficient, that the tired is real, that it makes sense, and that carrying it alone for this long has been, without question, genuinely hard. That acknowledgement does not come from the outside. The outside has been mostly unhelpful on this topic. It comes from the millennial individual themselves, quietly, in the specific silence of a Tuesday evening when the work is done and the performance can pause in something underneath, patient and accurate and tired in the most understandable way, finally gets to say, I know. I have been here the whole time. Thanks for watching. If this felt familiar, leave a comment. You are not the only one who woke up tired this morning.